Good morning, Stephanie. Can you hear us? Everything okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you guys. Can't wait to hear what's going on.
Pardon?
Can't wait
I
to hear
says I
what's going
can't
on.
hear what's going on.
You can't hear what's going on?
Yes,
No,
can't
I
wait to
can.
hear.
Oh,
I
you
can't
can't wait.
wait.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Well, you won't have to wait very long.
Is anybody else excited about the assessors meeting?
You mean other than us?
Yeah, other than us.
I don't know. There's probably somebody who's excited about it, but usually that's after the fact.
I'm gonna let you start your meeting, and I
Okay.
don't have any public comment until maybe the end. But I
Sure.
appreciate you. Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, let's see, this meeting is being recorded by the Board of Assessors. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chair at this time. The chair on the board reserves the right to remove or have removed any persons per Mass General Law. So we call the meeting to order at 9:35. And I guess all of the assessors are here. The only person that isn't here is Jonathan. Is he? He's part of the roll call, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, public comment, no discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the chair of the board. Speaking time is 3 minutes for each person. Member of public must state their name and address or precinct. So the minutes from 10:29.
I move we approve the minutes.
I will second.
Okay, well done.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Randy.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to say who motioned, right?
You motioned and I second. Yes.
I'm not sure why it makes a difference, but
The official
Yeah.
okay, all right.
recording happened.
Right. So excise weeks.
We do have some excise,
Okay.
so.
All right. The excise amount is 1203.56.
And I'm not sure if we're making motions, but I'll make a motion to approve the statements.
I'll second. I guess we're all in
All
favor.
in favor?
Aye.
Sure, that's for your signature, and we're all done with that. All right, webpage updates and proposed revisions. Do we have any materials we can look at?
Matt is not here. He's starting his working
Part-time?
from home hours. Yeah, part-time here, part-time at home.
Uh-huh.
And I think he'll be in Thursday.
All right,
What's the word when you
Maybe
push it?
today at noon.
defer.
Defer. And so I don't know, he has been doing a lot of work on it and.
He has?
Yeah,
I haven't been.
he showed me a couple of times of different things, and so I know that he is making progress.
Okay. Well, maybe we ought to defer it and make sure he should, and see if he can't show up via Zoom at the.
Yeah, we'll make
Next.
sure that we have him at the next meeting scheduled. So, and I think that by that time, he did have a good couple of different things, because he's talking about the different formats and making it operate the way that you were, you wanted to have it appear. And I know that he was building that. And he's probably pretty close. So, yeah, he might be here later this afternoon.
Sorry, we didn't reach out to him and see if he could make it by Zoom. Okay, preparations for the classification hearings, split tax rate, residential exemption.
Yeah, I have to I'd like to get some type of, better final PowerPoint. So taking what you had and you have a couple of suggestions in there, I started working through and, eliminating, so we didn't have the duplicate, we're gonna use it this way or that way.
Yeah.
And so, I'd like to redistribute that maybe for the meeting tonight.
Sure.
Yeah, there's ways and means. I don't know. We haven't really talked to them, but I assumed that we would just go and reiterate what we said in the other meetings. We do have, part of the attachment was, when I came here, I started doing the PowerPoint, but the previous administrations in the office had like a little 4-page thing, and part of it was the way we would word the recommendations and what we wanted as far as, single tax rate and the different exemption options, what we were recommending on those. And so that was in there and part of it. And so that is all, done and ready. I'm sure that they must have seen that, but I was gonna attend the meeting tonight, Ways and Means.
So we're supposed to attend as well.
Yeah, okay, so we'll all attend and then just see if they have any additional questions. And we're trying to get the rest of the numbers straightened out on the accounting side, basically.
Yeah.
So that we can forecast a tax rate, because at this point, I'll be going and see what it would be the way things stand right now, and they keep changing. And
You mean the mayor's budget is still finalizing?
I think it's more the accountant and the treasurer.
yeah, I don't want to call it a shell game, but it's manipulating all the numbers so that they work and correct as far as the different revenue sources. So we have to make estimates on different things for the estimated receipts. And that's a big part of our budget. But exactly how it all fits together, and if have a larger increase in something that is, well, you're anticipating higher revenue this year or than last year, why? And you need to back it up. And we had meetings with the higher ups in the Division of Local Services discussing our strategy for Greenfield going forward, considering the situation we're in with our finance department and have so many new people.
Yeah.
So there were different suggestions that were given as far as the, ways that we could go. And the mayor was here and she's all on top of that as far as I know, or, that's her, she's running that show, but I was just trying to, I did sort of initiate it to a certain extent, but only because she was asking questions that I didn't have the answers for. And in my effort to try and get those answers for her, we ended up having this discussion, and it really was, in my opinion, very proactive and just trying to figure out, what we can do to, help the city of Greenfield in this current situation, because we're kind of facing the consequences of the fallout of the staff. And just like in assessing, there's not a ton of qualified applicants that are, the talent pool to, grab on any of these, accountant. There's not a bunch of municipal accountants out there with all of this experience that are just,
For sure.
bouncing around and same with the collector treasurer. So.
And we thought we had one.
Yeah, and which again was another blow early in the morning.
Yeah.
And apparently, very early in the morning, received an email stating that she was reneging on coming here, which.
Yeah.
Yes, so here we go. Hanging in there and trying to do the best that we can.
Okay. And that was Jenny mentioned DOR, but it was really DLS.
So, which is basically DOR, the Division of Local Services from the Department of Revenue.
Okay. All right. So our
Hello.
good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning. Hi, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, heard you needed a notary.
Well, it was
How many,
just
how many things?
Notarization.
a bunch of different things here.
Why don't we deal with that first so Christian can get out of here?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Since he was gracious enough to rush over here, thank you very much. A team player.
This lean stuff notarizing? The lean stuff or?
Yeah, it's chapter and stuff.
Oh, chocolate.
And Christian, I haven't forgotten about parking and traffic. I just haven't done it yet.
I go, you're all set. It's fine.
Yeah, so really the recertification of a new cutting plan. It's been great, and that's why I'm kind of lost. Sure,
So it's just Jim.
yeah. There's another.
Where's the, where's the spot where I actually notarize?
Can you tell me what to write in the meeting minutes about this? A chapter land was approved.
Chapter land forest cutting plan. Being. Is there not a place for each? Am I wrong? Haven't we done this in the past?
I don't know. I don't think I've done one that had like so much info in it
Yeah,
before.
maybe we don't need your signature, or maybe we don't need your help.
Well, I need to come over here anyway to pick up the mail, so
Well,
not too big a deal.
Yeah,
No,
I guess apparently not then.
this one looks like it has something on it.
This is a release. But it's not filled out, so I have no idea what it would be. No, it is. So lien release. I guess this must be what we need for it.
So just,
It's all of their signatures.
yes.
And then, yeah, that's all of us.
Trying to document all this.
Yeah. And you need driver's licenses, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Part of your cell phone holder?
Isn't it neat? So this is just a cell phone case, but it's got like a secret compartment. You can hold two cards in it. So my driver's license and credit card, I almost never need to bring my wallet
Yeah,
anywhere.
right. Yeah. It's pretty good. Like it.
Gee, Amazon.
I've got an older phone. Couple cracks in it now. They keep sending me these things trying to get me to upgrade.
Yeah.
Time.
I was trying to get the cheapest last year's.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, I'm not paying $1,000 for a phone.
Yeah, well, and that was what my dad did years ago, and this is his old phone. He passed away in 2020, so it's good.
Y'all?
But it's still pretty, efficient and
Oh, yeah.
robust with what it can do, so.
I mean, unless you watch TV and play video games on your phone,
You just need to.
just get the cheap one. I tell you, I always get a Google model because all the other brands are so chock full of junkware.
Oh,
You
right.
know, pre-installed advertisements and
Google's
application. No, I mean, they have some of their own stuff, but because I already am totally embroiled in their crap, At least I don't have to give all my personal information, all these third-party apps and advertisements and stuff that I don't trust. So. And like if you use an Apple, like just get the Apple one. Don't. You get like a Samsung and you just, every time you try and open the phone, it's popping up all these. Don't you want this Samsung thing or that Samsung thing, or it's terrible.
I'm trying to sell you the latest thing you look for.
Yeah, they're just always in your face, even about services you don't want. Here's your Instagram thing, here's your snap. It's,
Gee, I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
encountered that.
huh?
I've never encountered that with my Samsungs.
Oh, well, maybe it's somehow detected who you were from your blood when it touched your hand and decided, oh, we're not gonna do that in Mr. Geisman.
Yeah, well, I don't do blood recognition or facial
As
recognition.
far as you know,
Thumbprint.
as far as you know, to the best of your knowledge, they don't have your DNA.
Yeah, thumbprint. It's just, it gets translated into electronic signal.
Mhm.
Right? Can be Google's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, so,
It's a dark world we live in.
yeah, it's always a way to
Yeah.
get around your security, it seems like.
Yeah.
So on that pleasant note, well, what else is going on in the office? We're facing staff challenges.
When is the interview with the,
Tomorrow or the 20th. Is it 20th or
You have an interview with somebody?
Yeah. Well, two, we're gonna suppose we have two.
Do assistant assessor interviews?
Yeah, but
Oh,
only
one
one
is-
is qualified.
one is John.
Doesn't. We don't need the details. Or we shouldn't provide the details.
Sure,
Sure.
We got
20th, so it's tomorrow.
two assistant assessor interviews. We have staffing challenges and two assistant assessor interviews are scheduled. Got it.
Should we sign the paper while you're doing?
Yes. There's the three lines for,
Yeah. And maybe you can pass me that big chunk to your left, Christian.
yeah, the one that has all your name.
Yeah. This one has all three signatures.
Okay.
That is what the 19th.
19. Okay.
This new cutting plan, these are all granted,
Yes. Yeah, that's all
granted.
the official paperwork that's gone through the state forester and everything.
Okay.
It's all prepared and submitted now by the owner.
Mhm.
We're getting, you can see the one that says, you know, we can read that it's our copy of the official plan. They will usually send them they'll send them for the person's records and one for us to be submitted to us. A copy of the cutting plan, because it's usually they're 10 years.
Mhm.
And you don't have a lot of times when they're being renewed. But we had a few this year that were coming in, and that's why we've been dealing with them as they.
We love chapter land in Greenfield.
Yeah, well, when I first got here, I made a big spreadsheet of all of the chapter land parcels and then all of the cutting plans and when they were going to be coming due.
That was a good idea.
Okay. There's only.
Thank you for doing that.
There's just one place for your signature and.
Okay. I presume the rest of the assessor's office operations in the last couple of weeks has been focused on getting ready for the classification.
All classification, except for the ATV hearing that we had.
Right.
That was the one difference, but otherwise, yeah, it's just knock people at the counter and good job.
Yep. All right.
Well, while Christian's doing his thing, we need to sign the notary book.
Yep, that'll be the last thing. I'll have to grab us someone to witness that.
Okay.
Did we want to say anything about the 1818A?
Yeah, let's talk about that briefly. I sent a note, 18A is a deferral that's good for 3 years. And 18 is, basically a total exemption.
Okay.
Forever.
All right.
Not necessarily, and it's up to us to decide how much it is, and that's why historically, we've been doing $1,000 a year. That's what the 18 has been.
I mean,
Okay.
by complete, what you meant is not the full amount, but
Well,
it does not need to be paid back.
It does not need to be paid back. And, and it can be up to a foot, right?
It can be,
Could be,
yes,
yes.
and that's up to our discretion.
And my sense is that if we forgive the complete amount, that just makes no sense to me. Because, people own the property, and when they get rid of the property, they don't have to pay back what they got in, taxes, what we exempted them in taxes. And that just doesn't make sense to me. Now, giving them $1,000, when you're doing that for every
It has to
year.
do with their personal situation, right?
Yeah. Let me just sign this. Okay, all right,
I'll go grab Patty to witness.
and, if we want to give away $1,000 a year, that seems okay, because, how many years are they gonna be? Well,
Well, and
that's
that
our
was part of
decision.
the issue, is that there was nothing established as far as a policy. And there should be, and that's one of the first things that you should do if you're granting the clause 18s, is have a policy so that you're showing that you're treating everyone the same.
Right.
And that policy usually includes a little bit more invasive look than not just a senior exemption into income. It's also expenses that we want to know about.
Good
morning. So right there.
Yeah, I guess, I read the thing as it was a full exemption. But as you're saying, it's up to us.
Right, and that's just what it's been here, that like a precedence that has been established. This is how the board historically had been handling it. And I think it was like intended to be a stopgap between someone who didn't.
Perfect.
wasn't
Thank
old
you.
enough to
You're welcome.
qualify for the senior exemption, but they would qualify if they were old enough, but they just, to get them there, and, they gave them a hardship just for a couple of years to get them through.
So where are we today? What are we talking about or deciding with respect to this?
Well, 18A, I think, is in pretty good shape, our policy for 18A.
And I thought for 18 also,
Well, yeah, for 18, but that was,
because we did establish that 3-year time frame, and then we
that's right, on the
said that we're
18A.
whoever was getting it, even if they've gotten it more than
On
3
18A.
years. For this last year, not 18A, but 18.
I want 18.
For this last year, we were going to give them 1 more year because they're expecting it.
I thought, I
But we also,
thought they were all 18As.
no, they're all 18s.
They're all 18s?
Yeah, we haven't done an 18A. 18A is the deferral.
Yeah.
We've been doing straight 18 hardship exemption. So we've been exempting that amount, just saying, don't get reimbursed for that. That just is a hit that goes on, gets reimbursed through the overlay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you very much. We really
Okay, so that's one of the things we added in our 18 policy is typically we will limit the number of years we will give someone a hardship exemption of whatever amount to 3 years.
Right, because
And then-
it's a hardship, you're just not on permanent hardship, or it shouldn't be.
Okay.
If that's the case, you need to change your situation.
Yeah, I think
Hardship.
the lead into 18, as I recall it, is these people don't qualify for 18A. So, the first line of defense is 18A.
And if that's the way we want to, do that, then that's, that's a whole policy change. And so let's establish that.
It's a change?
Next, yeah, because we've been just granting people $1,000 unlimited. As far as there's been no time frame, we've never done a deferral.
Oh, the 18, I'm sorry, so let me just go back. So you're saying normally if someone comes to us, they could go for an 18A, which has built into it a 3-year limitation.
Right.
But typically, we instead do an 18, or if someone doesn't qualify for an 18A, we'll do an 18. 18 not only doesn't have rules like that, but we, for our policy, are putting in a maximum of 3 years typically that we would grant it.
And so one thing that you said is that if they don't qualify, but we haven't been qualifying for 18A, we just
skip straight to 18.
Yeah, that hasn't been considered. I don't know why, or,
Well,
I've only been here for a couple of years, so.
yeah, but the way I drafted the proposed policy, 18 is a fallback from 18A. In other words, if somebody applies for a hardship, the first thing,
You want to give them the discount, but they've got to pay it back.
that's correct.
And so then, yeah, if that, then you.
And if that doesn't work, then you can roll into 18 and
And
forgive.
so that's a whole policy change. And so I would just suggest that we continue on the way we have been for this year.
Okay.
But what we're doing is we're telling people that, if there's a 3-year time frame, this is the guidance from the state. This is now our new, adopted policy.
Yeah.
And you've gone beyond that. We're giving it to you for this one last year, but you won't be eligible in the future.
I got all that. All right. So
And I think I'll go back and I'll review how the policy is written in light of this.
the 18 policy.
Yeah, I mean, if we can rewrite it and adopt something different or change it to be the way that we want.
Yeah.
But we did put something in place and we adopted that policy and that was, so that's what we've done on the last ones that we granted. We included a letter stating, here's our new policy and this is how it's affecting you.
Right. And
Okay.
that's fine, but I think I'll still
You're
go
going to go back and do an
I'll
update to
review-
clarify
Yeah.
when we're using 18A and when we're using
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
prefer, and that'll be another thing, so that we'll have to write that in, okay?
Yep.
Further,
Okay.
what we did is we decided that we want you to defer your taxes until you
Right.
can, such a time you're better in shape.
Right.
And if you can't do that, well then, then we'll consider the 18, I guess.
Okay, I'll.
And if we do that, we'll do a 3-year limit.
Right,
Okay,
okay,
got it. I got all that in.
all right, so that takes care of 18A. Out of the calendar timeline? You have anything on that?
No, it's just all classification, getting it done. We're gonna start getting the billing done, in early December, it'll be getting the billing file prepared and in, and then preparing for mailings for all the income expense in form of list and for EBC.
Okay. We've discussed the assessor office operations,
Yeah, we did.
RRG, anything there?
They've been helping, bring it home and now really, David came in the other day. I had him start looking at the plans from this calendar year that we'll be executing once we're able to close fiscal 25 in our database and do the year-end roll and basically, 6 months in advance, we're able to start making adjustments for fiscal 26.
Okay, valuation capture and new growth.
Yeah, it did work out to be like 641. And
Are you shooting for 400?
Yeah, we're shooting for 400. We were overestimating 400. And so that was part of why we did we had a big gain from Eversource. And that was like 200,000 alone. And then the 240 from the
RC or?
RC and the personal property project.
Mhm.
And then the rest was just our, what we had, beyond that. So we can't anticipate that that's going to happen again. We've got to pretty much know that can't be our forecast next year.
Oh,
We should be conservative.
Oh, on the personal property? Yeah, that makes
Or
sense.
just on our new growth, when we're putting in the budget. And so this year we recommended 300 and Ginny decided that she wanted to put 400 and it worked out. Well, and part of it is because we did the whole, personal properties thing. I had suggested it, she endorsed it, and then I made it happen.
Right.
Because it was a time sensitive thing to get it done for this fiscal year. We were able to, it was a great thing and, it paid off. And,
how much did we get out of the RRC?
the new growth from the
The new growth,
RRC alone was $240,000.
40, and we spent,
Something.
yeah, we spent roughly 60 grand,
No, it was like 45.
45,
Yeah.
good. So 240, 45, not a bad return.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things that I was pointing out, and it's been historically true. When you do this big effort, it gets paid for. And that's up. So, yeah, it was just done.
It makes me want to do a full measure and list of all,
Of all
The
properties,
properties.
right?
Yeah.
I hear you.
especially residential.
And that was one of the potential pushbacks because I had done so many adjustments on sales that our consultant was concerned that the DOR would say, well, because you've made so many adjustments here, that, your data isn't, it's suggesting that your data isn't as good as it should be. And then that would be, potentially the result. And it was like an observation in West Springfield when I was there and how I started, as a part of that data collection effort and then finished it as the principal assessor. And it was $450,000 worth of growth. 90% of the properties had a change in value. 10% stayed the same. 70% saw an increase and 20% saw a decrease.
It's parallel to personal property, but in terms of rental properties, is there any way we can make landlords report what rental properties are so that we have a rental property registry and we know how many units we have?
Are you aware of the project that's going to be kicked
The
off
whole
on
thing that's
that?
going on between
Yeah, I've
Bob
heard
Wolford and
about it.
Susan Morgraphic.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
they've been
we're Gassick,
seeing
and
me.
I'm like one of the only other people on her committee to do that.
Yeah, so they've been tossing around a lot of information,
Well,
creative ideas of how to identify things.
so what I know so far, and I'm meeting with Susan soon. I don't know if it's tomorrow or next week or something. I think it might be tomorrow. So they received grant money. And we're gonna fund one student fully to walk around town and look at all the properties that we currently have identified as multifamilies. And they're just gonna look for basic things, but they're also gonna include the written or identified addresses of each unit, just based on looking at mailboxes and numbers on doors.
ABC, is it -1, -2 or whatever, how?
Yeah, that's the big thing that's missing in the city's current information about rental properties is simply the
unit number.
the unit
Identification.
unit identification of each unit. Because we know, or we think we know the number of units, but we just don't have their identification, which means we can't send them mail.
And you don't know what you're responding to if you're in emergency services.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Amongst
know.
other things, health department and whatnot, but one of the most basic things is we cannot communicate with them. But the other thing, so I've been brainstorming ideas of what else the student could do, and one of the most basic things, something we discussed, which is counting the number of utility meters.
Mhm.
Since Eversource wouldn't give it to us. So anyways, that project is gonna happen. It's gonna happen early next year, and we have the grant money. And So the key thing is we're just documenting exactly what the student to do at each property. The other thing is in terms of identifying the properties. So there's several possible sources of this information. The main source is from our own assessing database, just all the properties that have an LUC of 104, 105, or 111, 112. But the database extract, so we have an extract from what you posted for fiscal year 24 last year.
Yeah.
And then we have some other database polls that both of you guys have been involved in at one time or another that we could potentially use. One of our fine residents has who you may know, Bob. I think his name is Williford.
Yeah, Bob Williford.
Yeah, so he used to be a research librarian or something. He's retired, but he did a poll from the GIS system. Apparently, you can pull records from Mass GIS, and he sent me the file and Susan the file. But to my understanding, Mass GIS gets their information from us, from our assessor database. So it's all from the same source. No matter where you go, it all in the end is whatever's in Patriot. So if it's not inconvenient or doesn't take too much time, I would suggest that when the time comes that we actually need to give this list to this student, that we do a fresh and clean poll from our database to do it.
Sure.
And we just simply pull a listing of all the multifamilies, just what their addresses are. And if possible, I don't know if it's convenient to get a report from Patriot of how many units each of these is supposed to have. That would, I think, be the key thing, is just the address, what the LUC is, how many units, and anything else that's conveniently available, just in case, like the owner's name, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be like a public records request, or, I just have to figure out what report in Patriot had that information.
Right. I mean, we could do it as a public records request, but since this is a city project, it's really not.
Yeah.
Why would we make it?
Because, part of that is, we don't have that we don't have that created, and that was what I was sort of, or where I was going is like, I don't know if I have anything that has that information.
That's that report. Well, if we don't have the report, we don't have the report.
Yeah, and I'll have to look and figure out some place that has it and figure out a way to get it done.
I don't want to do a research project.
Because, we had a public records request recently asking about a certain statistical information. And I provided 2 reports to the person that had the information in it, but it was 2 separate reports. And it wasn't easily accessible or easily disseminated,
Well,
But then I also had the planner asking me for almost the opposite of the request. And so since it involved a lot of the same data, I did eventually, was able to say, okay, this is, well, but I made this, I'm not making a report for you, but I'll make one for the planner when he asks me, because it came up with the same information. I was willing to provide it.
well, let's wait until we're closer to the time.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to indulge in a research project, just create this report.
Yeah, but if there's some way that we can facilitate it more easily, I see no reason to not participate in, whatever way we can.
If we can. Let's wait till we're closer to the time. And anyways, that's what I know about the project.
But what,
Do you guys have any other information?
No, just that I've been CC'd on a bunch of the emails that are going back and
From
forth.
Susan.
Yeah, from Susan and Bob.
Yeah.
And there wasn't too much input, I think, that I could have had.
Yeah.
Other than kind of what you're saying, the bottom line thing later on.
Yeah.
but I guess my question is there a way to require that landlords report at least once or maybe every 5 years or something like that, the number of units in each of their properties?
Yeah, they're supposed to through the INEs.
INE?
Income and expense.
Oh, income.
I said, no, but not everyone sends that information, and some people get fined because they don't, and they prefer the fine as opposed to disclosing the actual information.
Well, if all we were requiring of them was a unit count and the INA being a separate thing, would that allow us to have a rental registry as opposed to an incomplete rental registry because people didn't want to file their.
Yeah, I don't know, he's gonna do a whole mailing to all these 104s, ask them how many units they have,
Yeah, something
or all
like
these
that.
multiple. It's gotta be part of the grant because we don't have funding for that.
Okay.
You know, it's not in our budget to do an extra mailing for, you know, $1,000 or $700, whatever it would be.
But maybe we can discuss about dealing with landlords and INE at some meeting next year.
Okay.
Because I think that's a involved and important topic.
It would be nice to have something, ideally, I think every city should have, really, you know, better idea, just not only that, but, you know, one of the benefits of the personal property project is now we have an inventory of the businesses in town that's up to date, and really,
Yeah.
every assessor's office should have that, you know. And yeah, I mean, a few are gonna fall through the cracks, but we should be 92 to 95, or, you know, between 90 and 95% accurate, and it's really okay, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Every year, we gotta go out and walk the streets like you guys did, and just check, is everyone there, who's not, oh, hey, this place wasn't here last year, and you know, because you're out there, you were the one that did it.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not
and
saying I'm sending you guys out again, but I'm just saying that that's what needs to happen in the assessor's office, is that, you know, you need to stay on top of it, and saw the results of what happens with that. And that's why we did it. So let's stay on top of it going forward.
But my main worry is not just that, but the actual income numbers, because rents have been going up, up, up. And if they were giving us accurate income numbers, we could potentially greatly increase their valuation. Which would be a lot of new growth and income.
And that was something that I mentioned to Harold.
Yeah.
Going through this process, because we did identify some other adjustments that we had to make to these larger, like 111 and 112s that sold. And when I looked at some of the data that we had in the system, you know, some of it was really old. And so he had done a study and looked at things and sent it to me. It was, you'd done it last time in 2022. So it was prior to me getting here, and that was, I think, our reval year. I got here like at the last 2 months of the reval year.
Mhm.
But when he looked at it again, well, he was going to refresh it, and somehow he did. But in the meantime, he gave me the previous one, and I started manually refreshing it, at least one of the tabs. And I put a comment on, you know, I added my own comment column to say when the information was, you know, what year was it reflecting? Was it 13, 2019, 2017, 15, and it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, rents have really changed.
Yeah, and that's just the whole thing with the, you know, staffing your assessor's office is the most important office in any town or any city. The larger it is, the more
Well,
important it is. And
I
I
think-
think you gotta stay on top of that stuff. to
Next
make sure
year-
it is accurate.
Next year, let's talk about a proposal similar to what we did this year on personal property. And hopefully the returns will be even bigger.
For what?
For if we can nail better information on incomes, INE, from multifamilies in the hopes of getting a higher valuation, of assessing a higher valuation for those properties, just like we did with personal property.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a different project,
It is a different project.
but it's a, you know,
Same idea.
it's an income project or a new growth project, really. you
Yes.
know? And so, yeah, I hear you, but
Well,
I
it's
don't know what to say.
to
when
discuss next
I
year.
just lost my most valuable player, and
To discuss
my other person's not gonna be here.
next year. It's a next year discussion, and we'll start from the beginning and see what's possible or how to do it. Maybe we'll outsource it, you know, who knows? Let's discuss it next year. Right now, let's focus on classification.
And that's something that we could even do. We have the data. And so what has happened with those since we've been here? Was it looked at every year? You know, maybe we could just go through the returns that we have for those properties, or give them to you guys as a project to say, you know, come on in, take a look at these. And then, you know, maybe establish in a spreadsheet, here's, you know, the rents. And somehow we'll have to compare that to the information and
even we could do something crazy, like when that student goes and identifies all these units, they could put a little mailing in each mailbox saying, hey, would you mind reporting to the city how much rent you pay?
Yeah.
That would be fascinating.
Yeah, and even some of these larger places too, that's what I've done. It's like, let me just see, they're advertising, you know?
Yeah,
And so, well, what are they advertising that they're renting for? And that, what's the information in the database? Well, that takes time, you know?
yeah. Well, again, next year we can sort of,
Yeah.
we can discuss about what might be possible, how we might be able to do it, blah, blah,
What
blah.
I was hoping is that, you know, because another thing that's happening here and what I've been working toward is eliminating our dependency on RRG.
Mhm.
And so, you know, that's the thing that just took the biggest blow because we're ready to hit the ground running and yeah, we're going to take over a lot more because we're renegotiating the contract next year.
Yeah, and then we lost all our staff.
Right. So, right. So we're at this
Whoops.
point where, you know, so hopefully something happens in the meantime where we can right the ship. But otherwise, yeah, it's a huge blow and we're just, once again, if we don't have proper staff, then we can't get out and do inspections and we're paying our RGBO staff.
Let's just, right now, let's just finish classification, then we can work, maybe at the same time,
But,
working
so, you
on
know, if we're
staff.
talking about the calendar, that stuff is right around the corner in the budget for the office, so.
Oh. Yeah,
We'll start talking about it in January.
well, let's just try and get the staff.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. Well, we have interviews and I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Trying to remain optimistic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you're right. It's maybe we can, do you think we could go month to month with RRG early next year? Give us some time.
That would, I just as a
Yeah.
consultant, that would be very difficult.
No, you sign a contract if it's for just a year, maybe, okay, as opposed to a multi-year.
Okay.
But with the last one we did, it was for 3 years.
All right, well, let's discuss it in the new year. I'll write a note about that too.
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of take notes on some of this
All the
stuff.
different things, you know, so we'll have to be thinking about all those different budget things. I guess it's maybe too soon to talk about it, but you know, the mileage and that type of thing, you know, how much we're gonna have for schooling, all of the different office supplies, everything, you know, how are we, you know, because I'm sure they're gonna want us to reduce our budget.
Mhm.
And I was planning on paying back the 60,000 that they gave me in this year's budget with a reduction in the RRG contract to offset it. And
That's
so,
like 108 or 118, I can't remember which.
what,
Taken, RRG,
RRG now, we're paying them 85 this year
85 this year.
for fiscal 25.
And if we took the 45 out of the 85, that only leaves 40,000 in RRG effort.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to do. Let's reduce it. I mean, that's, I want to know, and I want an itemized, you know, we get a scope of services from them. And it's all encompassing and it's a one price for this, all of this stuff. But I want an itemized breakdown.
Yeah,
Because a lot of stuff is we're paying for Harold's expertise. You know, and I think it's worthy and that we need to, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to pay as little as possible. Like I said, I worked for other towns where, okay, we had the staff and we did most of the work ourselves. And they came in and helped with valuation adjustments, which I know how to do now. And it cost us 1,600 one year and 2,000 another year, or like 2,200, not 22,000. That was a reval year in a larger municipality. And so, yeah, we're paying out for a lot of his expertise, which is great to have access to, but let's, you know, I need to do the best I can for the city of Greenfield. And that means, you know, keeping that relationship, but also minimizing the financial impact as much as possible. So we're paying, you know, for David to come in one day every week. And that's, you know, we could probably, for the same price, I'm figuring that we could have another clerk.
Yeah.
You know, how much does it cost us to have, and that's really so that we're having the access to his expertise. But that's also my expertise. So, you know, now that I'm here and I wasn't sure and I didn't want to just say, you know, be too aggressive when I first started. And I like that I was being taught this element that I didn't know. But ultimately, you know, I don't want to part ways just
No.
with RRG, but I want to part ways with most of the financial obligation to them. So that we're handling in-house most of our different things, you know, so we reduced.
Yeah.
And to Harold's credit, because it was under contract, have the personal property done,
Mhm.
he reduced the contract when we went a different direction.
That was very good.
That was just, you know, unheard of and he didn't have to do. And just shows that that's why I want to retain this relationship because
Yeah.
he's such a great guy and has an open mind because in the past, every time I've tried to limit a consultant's responsibilities, I've met with big pushback from the consultant.
Of course.
Randy, I just want to commend you on your strategic thinking and your how to handle these business relationships with these consulting companies. Those are aspects of a principal assessor, and I really appreciate you having talent in that area. It's very helpful to the city.
You know, I've moved around a little here and there, but when I, you know, in some cases, you know, it's a knock. Well, you know, you've been here for a couple of years and you went there and there.
It's a lot of experience though.
And it's a little bit different in this environment. And yeah, it's been an advantage because yeah, I've worked with several consultants now and I, you know, have a feel for what to expect or what's been delivered by each one.
And that's wonderful, but the strategic thinking about when to outsource and when not, and how to use them.
Yeah.
And what projects to do and when, that's very important for the leadership of the office. And I really appreciate the attention and the skill that you're exerting in that area.
Trying to do my best for you.
You are. We appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's nice to hear that.
Right, well,
Most people just don't even know.
it's very important.
Unsung hero.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a little singing.
Okay.
All right, so
So, yeah, where are we on the agenda?
I think we're done with the new growth discussion.
Yes. Tip line.
Yeah, the tip line, nothing and nothing. I think this is not really a useful agenda item now until and unless we get a form on the website for people to submit that way. Since as we've discussed, in order to maintain the anonymity, which makes that mechanism work, we need a tool that does that. And so we need the form on the website.
I think that's something that Matt could do.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
it's,
a Google form without a,
Yeah.
you know, without an email address.
But we
or
just
whatever.
need it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So we can talk to him about that, or, you know, let's get him let's have him get us to the finish line on the things that he's doing for us now.
Yeah.
And we can talk about, you know, that.
Yep.
You know, after.
Okay, council relations. Have we,
We basically trying to clean up the
Did it.
PowerPoint and attend the Ways and Means tonight.
Yeah.
okay,
And then we'll see, I don't know, yeah, I'm gonna probably try and do that one from home. And do the city council
person?
in person.
All right, well, I think we can attend both in person.
Yeah,
Do them here.
Yeah.
yeah. I was wondering, you know, we've talked about a listening session at like the John Zahn Center.
Yes,
And what I'm wondering about is what would happen if we scheduled it right before a council meeting? In other words, you know, the council meets at 6:30, and what would happen if we had this listening session at 5 or 5:30? And we announced that at a council meeting.
That might facilitate people showing up.
Yeah,
it could, but just as you were saying that in the back of my mind, for some reason, yeah, we postponed that.
no, I know we
Trying to get that.
No.
postponed that.
I got-
And so I don't want to.
Someone
It's something
mentioned
I've been
that to
trying to
me.
do since I got here. But also I thought maybe in a more appropriate time would be at abatement season. You know, let's have it in January. You
Yeah,
just got your
yeah.
bill. You got some questions.
no, that's exactly right.
You know, that's when we'll get the attendance that we're looking for.
And maybe,
Instead of a small handful of people, maybe we'll get some results.
Yeah.
And, you know, be able to address things I think I prevented about 100 abatement applications by talking to everyone all month.
I really appreciate that
And,
a lot.
Were the increases that, well, I don't know because I'm waiting for the tax rate to come out, but what we did, the work that we did to try and keep our increase in value under control.
Mhm.
So yes, we did increase things, but it was only by a very small amount compared to
4%.
last year. Yeah, something like that. It's very small. A lot of it was an adjustment to just the land. And then there was just a very slight adjustment to some of the different building categories.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I have felt that, going up 27% on the average single family tax bill in the last 2 years was a lot for everyone in Greenfield to have to swallow, and I don't want to have to increase their value again.
Mhm.
And I was hoping that the budget was going to stay reasonable too, so that, they weren't going to see a significant increase. And that should also contribute toward us having less abatement applications. But also, maybe that's the best time when it's significant.
I think you're right.
This is the time of year when it all happens. It's no, we're not talking about it in a few months. You can try and do this if you're talking now.
So maybe in January, after bills go out and the same evening and prior to a council meeting.
Something, mid-January is
Yep.
sort of, I don't know.
I got
why I'm
that.
thinking this, and I'm probably, setting myself up to be,
Eviscerated?
yes.
Well, from personal experience, I can say it can be healed from.
Well,
We're all-
at the same time, I can't think of a more proactive time to be
Yeah.
asking for people's questions, And so, maybe we should, because we wanted to do it in October or September, and then we said, well, no, October, and then, okay, now we're halfway through, more than halfway through November. And, yes, we still want to do it. We could still do that same awareness for exemptions, because that was part of the presentation or part of my big push is to have awareness of that. But it's still, a time up until April 1st of next year, we can talk about and do public awareness about exemptions and still try and get qualified applicants the knowledge about it. But yeah, I mean, look at the last couple of things that we did education wise, and that's Ray, use your property record card. And, that all ties right into that. It's a perfect time of year to say, let's, and actually gives us some time even now to advertise it. Let's talk to Matt. Hey, now you're going to get your tax bill.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to have your questions. Understand what your tax bill is, the significance. We can go in the whole preliminary and actual. And hey, this is why right now you've got the option to, like I said, I'm not looking for some way to make sure that we get as many abatement applications as we can. But at the same time, I can't think of a better time to have that type of awareness or outreach. And I'm not sure if it's a good idea or if I'm,
Well, if we can get a clerk or two before then, and in this outreach, if we can let people know, yes, there's an abatement process, but it's even easier if you look at your property record card, as we've discussed, and just come into the office. Our clerk can work with you to schedule an inspection or discuss
just
the
to
facts on that.
understand, just to understand the property record card, well, all the work that you did in that one PowerPoint or slide.
Yeah, it's
that-
beautiful.
All of the numbered things of each, and this is what it is. and-
But anyway, so that can help people get satisfaction without having everyone have to go through this abatement process, which doesn't help them anymore, it helps us.
Well, and it's the foundation for the meeting or the event that we'll have is really, let's just talk, just that one, here's your property record card portion. And then the rest can be,
And it would be great for our database. If people come in and be like, oh, this is not exactly right, that's good for all of us.
yeah, because exactly, there's two people responsible, public. There's two people responsible for every, for the assessment. It's the Board of Assessors or the assessor's office and you, the homeowner.
Yeah. Okay,
So you make mistakes and can.
that's a good discussion.
To our attention. So anyway, it's a good starting
Good
topic.
discussion on educational outreach.
Yeah, well, but I'd like to be able, if we're gonna do it in January, I think that's a great idea. And we set that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So we,
Yeah.
right now, if we're talking about it right now, we got plenty of time to talk about it and advertise it.
Right.
Prepare and get ready and okay, here it is.
I'm thinking that maybe at the classification hearing, that's the time to say it. Now, don't forget, we also have public comment at a council meeting, and public comment can be anything, including an announcement of what we're planning on.
Right, actually, yeah.
So we can just announce it Wednesday?
Yeah, the council, yeah, so that's great, actually, you know.
Great idea, Jen.
I'm not sure if this is social suicide or not, but you know, you're absolutely
Well,
right. Let's talk about.
Been there, done that.
Let-
Hey,
let-
listen, this is what we're gonna do.
Hey, if you're lined up against the wall, so are we.
Yeah, right, I know.
Yeah.
Yep,
I already have the holes through me though, so the
Yeah.
bullets will go right through me.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so should we go to public comment?
Yeah. Public comment.
Motion to open public comment.
okay, since we use,
Open.
okay, I will second.
All right.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Okay.
we have-
Stephanie.
Open. We do have a,
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Stephanie.
what do you think about what you've heard, Stephanie?
I'm Stephanie Duclos, 166 Chapman Street. Sounds great. I mean, I'm sorry about the, a little bit of the staffing issue that just happened, but the new growth is great. You guys are working so hard. Again, when I get the opportunity to sit with you guys, I can probably, seeing as how I've lived here for 45 years, I can probably identify areas that might have renters in that are not owner occupied, and that would take some time, obviously, with maybe Randy or Jim or you, Chuck. But you guys have a lot on your plate right now, and as soon as we get through the tax classification and all of that, I'll come in and I'll help as much as I can on a volunteer basis, if allowed.
That'd be great.
So
Thank you, Stephanie.
yeah, I will. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and it's positive that you guys are saving all the money. And I do have concerns in the city about some tax evasion kind of schemes going on, but other than that,
Well,
yeah, I have a meeting with the mayor to discuss some of the stuff, but that's a different topic altogether. Anyways, I'm glad to hear that we are, getting some help from some students.
guys.
And right in the background saying
Hi,
hi,
hello.
Ryan.
Hi there.
Just trying to get my son's bedroom painted, so he's
All right.
he's coming home from college, and we, when you're bringing stuff, you're going, boy, this room needs a fresh paint, a fresh coat of paint.
Congratulations,
Well,
Stephanie.
that's great.
Motion to close
Okay,
public comment.
are we all set, Steph?
We're all set.
Anything else?
When I get an opportunity, great job. You guys are doing hard. I know it's a lot of work over there, and I really
Thank
feel
you.
bad for you guys. So, but you guys are, heroes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It's
Wait.
citizens.
Hey, the Heroes Act, what does that get you?
Yeah,
Money.
Oh,
Not
well, it
us.
doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
It does-
I mean,
don't
I
think it
am
does
a
anything for
child
us
of
either.
2 veterans, but yeah, that doesn't extend over to the children.
Okay.
All right.
Motion to close public
Okay.
comment. and
Have a
let,
great afternoon.
I'll
I'm still
second.
listening. Thanks.
Oh, okay, we're gonna go into executive session next, so,
Okay.
All right, then
Motion-
I'll log out. You guys have a
Okay.
great day.
Thanks, Stephanie.
all right,
Thanks, Ryan.
Steph. Well, thank you very
Mo-
much.
Motion to close public comment and let Randy get back to the
Second.
desk.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Motion to open executive session.
I'm sorry, I forgot to write
Oh,
some of these
I'm-
motions down.
now,
Wait a minute,
do we make a motion to close the meeting and then go to executive session, or what was the
No,
protocol
no.
on that? We have to keep the meeting open.
yeah, the meeting
And
is
we'll
open,
come
we're
back
just
in.
going into executive
Okay,
session,
and
and we
then
come
we'll
out. and we
Mute and
adjourn.
start video.
Yep,
Okay, so then you have made a motion for us to go into executive session. I will second. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
aye, okay, and let me get this thing to stop recording.